So, you went a little crazy at the grocery store, or your garden just produced an absolute mountain of potatoes. You're determined that this time, they're all going to get used. But we both know how this usually goes. The clock starts ticking the second you get them home. Within days and weeks, they start to get soft and shriveled. Then come the weird, alien-looking sprouts, and before you know it, you're tossing half the bag in the bin. It's frustrating, it feels wasteful, and it's literally throwing away food and money. What if I told you there's a time-tested secret that can keep those potatoes perfectly firm and edible for a full 12 months? And the best part? You don't need a deep, dark root cellar to pull it off. Stick with me to the end, and I'll show you everything you need to know, from choosing the right type of potato to DIY long-term storage setups. This isn't just a tip, it's a complete game changer for how you store food. Just a quick reminder that I've made subtitles of this video in different languages, so you can watch this video in the language that you are most comfortable with. And if you don't see your language, please notify me in the comments section, and I'll be sure to include that. Look, before we get to the how, we have to understand the why. Potatoes have three mortal enemies: light, moisture, and heat. Get any one of these wrong, and you're basically fast-tracking your spuds to the trash. First up, light. When a potato sees light, it starts producing chlorophyll, which is what causes that green tint. That itself is harmless, but it's a giant red flag, because it signals the potato to also start producing a nasty toxin called solanine. In large quantities, solanine can be harmful to humans, causing gastrointestinal upset like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and, in extreme cases, neurological problems or even death. This is why rule number 1 is to store your potatoes in absolute darkness. Enemy number 2 is moisture. That plastic bag they came in from the grocery store? It's their worst nightmare. It traps moisture, creating a sweaty, humid little sauna that's a 5-star resort for mold and rot. And once one potato goes bad, it spreads like a plague. And the third enemy is heat or warmth. Warmth triggers sprouting, turning your delicious potatoes into soft, shriveled mess. Potatoes need a cool, dry place. And some critical mistakes. Stop storing your potatoes close to onions. Onions release ethylene gas, which is like a hype man for sprouting in potatoes. Keep them far, far apart. Also, do not put your potatoes in the refrigerator, because cold temperatures can cause the starch in the potatoes to convert to sugar. This results in a weird taste and potentially darker potato when cooked. This can also potentially increase the levels of acrylamide, a substance linked to cancer, when fried, baked, or roasted. And a final mistake. This is so important. Never, ever wash your potatoes before you store them. Adding moisture is just asking for trouble. If the potatoes are caked in dirt, just give them a gentle brush off, and only wash before use. If you're enjoying this video and will love to see more helpful tips like this, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss anything I upload. And also hit the like button. It's a free way of supporting us. I know you will enjoy being here with all the helpful tips I will be uploading. Remember that potato varieties like Russet and Yukon Gold have low moisture, are thick-skinned, and are more resistant to spoilage than new and red potatoes. All right, let's begin. Here's the step that separates the amateurs from the pros. If you want potatoes to last for months on end, you have to cure them first. This is easily the most important and most skipped step in the whole process. Curing is just a fancy word for toughening up the potato's skin. You're creating a natural, protective barrier that locks in moisture and keeps out disease. Think of it like a scab forming over a cut. It seals the potato and dramatically extends its shelf life. Here's exactly how to do it. Find a space that's relatively cool, dark, and has decent airflow. A garage, a shaded porch, or a spare room can work great. The sweet spot for curing is between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Lay your potatoes out in a single layer on a screen, a wire rack, or even just some newspaper. The key is to let air circulate all around them, so don't pile them up. Now, if there's too much light in there, then toss a light cloth over them to block out all the light. And then, you wait. Let them hang out like this for 1 to 2 weeks. You'll know they're ready when the skins are noticeably tougher and don't scuff off easily with your thumb. This simple 2-week waiting period is what preps them for their long winter's nap. With your potatoes perfectly cured, it's time to move them into their long-term home. Now, the gold standard for storage will always be a true root cellar, a place that's consistently cool, dark, and humid. We're talking 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with about 90 to 95% humidity. But let's be real, most of us don't have one. So we're going to build our own micro root cellar using a couple of simple things: a cardboard box and a dry packing material. A wooden crate or a bin with some ventilation holes drilled in it also works perfectly. Just avoid airtight plastic containers at all costs. For your packing material, you've got options. Dry sand, peat moss, sawdust, or even super dry dirt from your garden will do the trick. This stuff does two critical jobs. It physically separates the potatoes, so if one happens to spoil, it can't take its neighbors down with it, and it wicks away any excess moisture to prevent rot. Now, let's pack them. The process is basically like making a potato lasagna. Start with a layer of your dry medium at the bottom of the box, then place your first layer of cured potatoes on top. Be picky here. Only store your best, most perfect-looking potatoes. Anything with cuts, bruises, or soft spots should be set aside to be eaten in the next few weeks. Once that first layer is down, cover it completely with another layer of your dry medium. Then add your next layer of potatoes, and just repeat the process until the box is full. Finish with a final, generous layer of the packing medium on top. This creates a dark, breathable, and stable environment that does a fantastic job of mimicking a real root cellar. Your potato boxes are packed and ready. Now, where do you put them? You need to find the coolest, darkest, most stable spot in your home. For most people, this is going to be an unheated basement, a crawl space, or an insulated garage. The goal is to find a spot that stays as close to that 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 to 10 degrees Celsius sweet spot as possible. It probably won't be perfect, and that's okay. The box method we just set up gives you a great buffer against minor swings in temperature and humidity. If you want to get serious, you can grab a cheap thermometer to monitor things, but really, just finding the place that's naturally the coldest is what matters most. Plan to check your boxes about once a month. Where are you watching me from? Let's connect from around the world. Comment your city or country in the comments. So, you've done everything right. You cured them, you layered them like a pro, and you found the best spot in your house. If you use this method, you'll be pulling perfectly fresh, whole potatoes from your storage boxes month after month. But what if you can't store them whole? Then you can freeze them for future French fries or hash browns. To do this, wash your potatoes to remove any dirt. Now that you have your washed potatoes, peel them and then dice them. I prefer to dice them into smaller sizes, but you can dice them to their preferred sizes. After, blanch them for 3 to 5 minutes for smaller sizes and 5 to 8 minutes for larger sizes. Then put them in cold water to stop the cooking process. Dry them and then freeze them in airtight storage bags. Now you have a constant supply of French fries you can always fall on. You can also run them through a dehydrator to make potato flakes for soups. Or you can pressure can them, giving you jars of ready-to-use potatoes that are stable on the shelf for years. All right, let's do a quick recap. First, pick thick-skinned, flawless potatoes for the long haul. Second, cure them in a dark, airy spot for 2 weeks to toughen up their skins. Third, pack them in cardboard boxes using a dry medium like sand or peat moss, making sure they don't touch. Fourth, stash those boxes in the coolest, darkest part of your home, or further preserve them by freezing, dehydrating, or canning. If you got some real value from this guide, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and the like button. It lets us know you want more in-depth stuff just like this. So there you have it. You never have to watch your potatoes slowly die on the counter again. You now have a system rooted in proven principles that lets you take one of the best staple crops and make it last. By understanding what your potatoes need, you can confidently put up a massive harvest and enjoy it for a full year without spoilage. It's all about working smarter, cutting out waste, and taking a giant step toward a more self-sufficient kitchen.